The wonder of home.
The wonder of home.
The wonder of home. The wonder of home.
Okay, here we go.
Let's go. I'm so excited.
Yay. All right. So welcome to the Wonder of Home with myself, Mel, and we are joined by the beautiful Holly, that is our sustainable homemaker this week, who I'm so keen to pick her brain because she has the coolest stories or story in general about what she's
One long
doing,
story.
how she got there. Yeah. And she's currently joining us from outside, which is very appropriate. Welcome, Holly.
Hello. Thank you for having me. Just
Why
out
are you
in the garden.
outside, Holly?
Why am I outside?
Yeah.
Well, my son had swimming lessons this morning at 8 a.m. and unfortunately we forgot the keys to our business. So I'm just chilling in the garden for a while.
I love it. It looks
I
like
feel
somewhere
great.
you would hang out anyway, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Love that for me.
Oh, so cute. So beautiful, Holly. I introduced myself to Holly, actually. She was one of my victims where I just like slid into her DMs. But it actually came about because one of my friends had bought a candle. And when I was at their house, I noticed how amazing this candle smelled, which I love a good candle. And when they told me that they'd bought it like locally, I was like, I have to track down these candles. Anyway, every time I've gone to buy one, they've been sold out. And so I had to stalk them on Instagram waiting for the next drop. And so I just messaged Holly out of the blue because I was like, when I read her story and when you guys hear about her story, I was like, please tell me more about how this came about. But look, I actually did get a candle. Most amazing candle.
Thank you so much.
Smells so good. Smells like a hug, I reckon.
It does. It does smell like a hug. Yeah.
So, Holly, where did you grow up? Give me all the background. Let's go.
All the gory details. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right. So I moved to Australia about 16 years ago. So before I was living in Australia, I lived in America and I lived over in the UK. I'm originally from Winchester in England near Stonehenge.
Oh.
So yeah, my parents are both European. What else can I say? Oh no, my computer has decided to die.
Right.
So basically, yeah, I didn't grow up in a sustainable household. So my parents are both like, I guess they're more like modern people. But when I moved to Australia, I met my best friend and her mother is like this mad OG hippie and her name's Ruth and she's amazing. And I kind of started on my sustainability journey when I was about 14 when I met Ruth because I was so amazed by her home and like, you know, her composting practices and like reusing bottles and things like that. And like bushwalking and like growing her own food and having chickens. And like, she was just so different from my own parents that I was so inspired by her that I basically adopted a lot of her sustainability practices from her home. And I kind of kept them going in my own life.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
At 14.
At 14, yeah. So that's where I pretty much started. Like I was very interested. And I guess because like, obviously we are like talking about home and everything like that. If you grow up with something that's a little bit different, when you see something that's a little bit new, you're like, wow, this is really cool and interesting. And I want to like, you know, it's like an entry point. It's like, oh, how can I do more with this?
Yeah.
So that was my introduction point into sustainability.
Oh, so cool. So what did you, so age 14, obviously you started integrating all these things that you thought were really interesting that you'd seen from your friend's house.
Yeah.
So then did that inspire you then to go on and study what you studied? And can you share with everyone about what you studied?
So I should have probably mentioned this to you actually before. So I'm in my mid 30s. And so like I actually left school at 15 and actually became a hairdresser.
Wow.
And then I went back to school. I got my high school certificate. And then I actually went into uni when I was about 21.
Wow.
So that's where I actually started. But all through that time, I always wanted to be like vegetarian and like, you know, have a compost bin and like do all these like, you know.
You go with like the sustainability factor and like your interest and passion for it working in hairdressing.
Oh, well, actually, one thing from hairdressing that really inspired me, which is actually something that we've implemented in our workshop where we do all the candles,
Yeah.
is there's a thing called sustainable salons for salons. And basically it's like it encourages hairdressers. So they get like 4 bins and you're encouraged to sort through all your waste. So you put hair in one bin, you put tubes in another bin, foil in another bin, something else in another bin. I can't remember what's in that bin. And then you send it all back to the company and then they sort through it all. They turn the hair into oil catching nets. They recycle all the tubes. They recycle the foil and make refoil. Then you can buy back and then foil people's hair with. So I was really
because that's what
inspired
I
by
was
that.
thinking. As soon as you said hairdressing, I was like, oh man, there would be so
Yeah.
much waste in that industry. I imagine, like plastics and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's so
And, like,
cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we have a like a waste bin structure in our candle studio. Which it's like a lab, but like, and it mimics it to the best of our abilities because obviously you're going to have obviously different waste with candles and hairdressing, but like, yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
Sorry, I probably should have mentioned that, but
No, that's good. Nah, I'm like, wow. I didn't. So if you're a sustainable hairdresser,
yeah.
is that like something you have to apply for? Like, what would be the process of that?
So
If
if there are,
listening.
yeah, well, if there's any hairdressers listening, you pretty much just go onto the Sustainable Salons website and you just apply. And I think you pay about $200 to join up, and then they give you all these bins, and then you basically ring them up and they organize collections and everything like that. And it's really, really easy. But like, I love it because the thing is you can take it as a business owner and then just apply it to any industry. So you could take it to like cafe, bakery, woodworkers, like, you know.
Well, you'll have to send me the details of that because I might even add that details in the blurb for this week's.
I will. Sorry. Yeah, I probably should have mentioned that to you before, but
that's really cool.
I always forget to tell people.
Business, we go through so much paper.
Yeah,
and like we recycle it, but even we were saying
you would be interested in my bid system because like I had it for like, you know, like I wanted to talk about it later, but so it's actually so funny when we were talking the other day because I was literally just about to post a reel about our waste.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I'll wait to post it till after we hang out and everything like that. But
yeah, and to be like,
we
totally. Well, even I think it was last night. Posted, and I thought it was so cool about like the bunting. Like, the packets, and then like you can create bunting. You'll have to go and check it out. Anyone that's listening, go and follow dirt_and_dunes, and Holly's always posting really cool like reels or things like that. If she makes them or she just reshares them, like cool ideas. Basically, it was bunting made out of like packets of chips and things like that. Yeah, it was really, but it looked so cool. Like it actually did look good. Like people listening are probably thinking, Mel, that's really interesting and creative, but it actually did look good. Like for a kids' party, it would be pretty funky.
Oh, you would be so surprised the things that you can. Sorry, I'm inside now. You would be so surprised the things you can make out of plastic waste. Like I could honestly, I could talk to you for hours about that.
I know you could. I'm sure we'll get you back for other episodes.
Sorry, I'm inside now.
So you ended up studying. What is it that you studied, Holly? So you went back to uni. What was it then that you studied?
So I started off as a health scientist, and then basically after doing my health science, I transitioned into public health. So I've got a degree in health science. I have a degree in public health.
Yeah.
And I also studied sustainability and permaculture through the University of Stanford in America.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah. So that was pretty much
like, what made you want to do that? Like, what was I'm going to be a health scientist. Like,
well, I tried a few different degrees, and the thing that look, I started out in law.
Yeah.
As I feel like a lot of people do when they go to uni.
Yeah.
And that wasn't really for me. So then I actually went to psychology, then to philosophy, and then none of that was really working for me. And so then I basically just ended up on health science because it kind of, I could help people.
Yeah.
But sorry, don't mind me. I'm just like walking around in the entire shop. Basically, it meant that I could help people, but I could also, you know, what's the word for it? Like, I love law, but like it can be a little bit heartless. And
Yeah.
psychology can be a little bit preachy, and
Yep.
philosophy can be a little bit wishy-washy. But when I was doing health science, I was like, wow, I'm learning like real techniques that I can like help people with, that are like really practical and tangible, and like they'll have like an effect
Physically
right away.
change. Yeah.
Yeah, change. Yeah, definitely. And like, yeah, like that's probably something you see in like a lot of the work. It's like, you know, we just want to make a decent change, because like, you know, how do you get from point A to point B? Someone's got to change it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what made you then start candles? So where did the candle part come
Ooh. Okay, so this is the exciting bit. Sorry, as I said, I'm just moving around everywhere. I've got to find a quiet space now.
No, that's fine. In the workshop, love it.
Sorry, now I'm in the very back lab part.
I know. I'm like, anyone listening, you have to jump on YouTube. We're literally having a walk through
Yeah,
like
I'm sorry. There
Holly's
you go. You
lab.
can see all our equipment.
It's actually really cool.
So basically, hold on, I'll go into the storeroom, because like that's my
In
life
the
right now.
cupboard. In the cupboard.
I'm in the cupboard now. I'll lock the door, because I saw my niece. She was like, hang out with me. And I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
no.
sorry.
No, not right
I'll
now.
talk to you later.
Love you. Bye.
Basically. So basically how the candles came up about was that just before the pandemic, Andy and I both lost our jobs. So he was working as a marine biologist, and I was working in like cosmetic medicine kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then basically we both got a job at a chemical formulation plant during COVID. So we obviously could both have a job that was slightly still aligned to our backgrounds. And so we were like, so all through COVID, we were making like chlorhexidine and sanitizer. And honestly, most people on the South Coast listening to this, I've probably formulated sanitizer that you've used. If you've had surgery in the last 5 years, I've probably made the chlorhexidine that you've used. Like, yeah, we made like knit treatment. We made the products for Swiss. And then we were also making like products for personal beauty brands. So people were coming out with their own like body butters and like, you know, hand sanitizers during like COVID. And so that's where Andy and I both really started working on like not so much mass formulations, but more intricate formulations.
Yeah.
And one thing we really noticed was that the fragrances were really limited. So in Australia, there's about 10 popular fragrances. And if you go to like the $2 shop or Woolies or anywhere, you'll actually find that it's like coconut and lime or like French pear. Like it's all really similar.
Yeah.
And we got really bored of that. And so we just decided that we were going to start making our own fragrances just to make things a little bit more interesting, because we were like, Andy loves maple syrup and we can't find a maple syrup fragrance.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we just kind of started making these fragrances, and we did integrate a few of our formulas into like things that we did make for people at the time we were working at this factory. But we bought a candle kit during COVID because we had like nothing to do. And we were just like, let's just test out our formulations on these candles. And then we did, and we were like, oh, these are really good. And then we started kind of looking into candles and like the wastage of candles and the health impacts of candles, basically doing our due diligence and like what health scientists would do. And then we were just like, wow, there's all this stuff. We really need to make a candle that's healthy for you, healthy for the environment. And so we just kind of started, and this was back in 2020. So we started like 3 years ago. So we put 3 years of research into it before it came out this year in January. So yeah.
So cool. And so like what was your inspiration? So with each of their candles, obviously for those watching on YouTube, I'm going to hold it, but you can still like check it out. This is like the Kayama. It's going to be like back to front, but this is the Kayama smell, which I was saying, oh, it smells so good. Like, look, this baby's been burning for a bit. But I was like, smells like a hug. That's what I was like.
It does. No, it really does. Like,
so
honestly,
lovely. It's such like inspire like the different smells. Like when you go somewhere, because you've got like the berry, you've got a bombo, gerringong, and wary beach one.
Yeah. So we've got Jamboree, we've got Kayama, we've got Gerringong, Jarroa, Berry, and 7 Mile at the moment.
So what like inspires you for the smell like of each place?
So we think about so like it's a little bit this is funny, we've made 50 plus fragrances. It's just that we're waiting to find what's right before we release a new scent.
Yeah,
And
that's
so like,
yeah.
yeah, we'll go to a place and like I want to do like a Saddleback
The
Mountain,
vibe.
I want to do a
Yeah.
Shell Harbour, like
Yeah.
so like our ambition would be that every suburb would have one.
That's so cool.
Like so like we
Love
just
it.
thought this is unlimited potential because it's just like, well, this is my area. And then what smell like it's like 7 Mile, it's like coconutty, it's a little bit like
Yeah.
lemony, and it's like it reminds you of like when you like go to the beach with your friends and you're like, putting that like weird monkey sunscreen on and everything smells really coconutty and like
Yeah, the
and you're like
tanning
having a
oil, which
drink
is
or
very not good for
something.
you. But
Yeah.
do it.
And like, yeah, so it's just about what inspires us. Like, so for example, I'm in the middle of creating the Canberra candle at the moment, just because we've got a rush on that one because someone in Canberra wants to stock it. And so for me personally, Canberra smells like mango because like I lived in Canberra when I first moved here, and a really big part of my childhood was this mango body butter. And I've been trying to recreate the scent of this mango body butter. And so for me, I'm like, Canberra is mango and cocoa and lemon and
So
yeah,
cool. I love that it's like your interpretation. I think
yeah,
that's so cool. Like,
yeah.
yeah, I find it so fascinating. So
Like
can you
we
just
feel
like
very
share with
lucky.
everyone? Can you please give me some background on your nicknames? Because like
Oh,
I remember when I messaged you originally, I'm like, hi, Dirt
so
slash
much.
June. Like, and you're like,
Oh,
you can call me Holly. I was like, thank
sorry.
you, thank you.
No, so Andy's
Very good
marine
story. Is it just like always been? You've always just been Dirt and Junes, or like, yeah.
yeah. Those are our changed names. No, so it's like a little joke that we made once because like so Andy's a marine biologist and a diver and surfer and everything, and so like he's like the dunes of the beach, and whereas I'm like an avid hiker. I've hiked like across New Zealand, I've hiked across Japan. Like I used to be like like I would go off and hike in Japan for like a month. Like that used to be my thing. And so I'm very like, dirt girl and also like the
Yeah, Dirt
permaculture
Girl, that's cool.
gardening. Like, so it's just our silly names. Like,
I love
and
it so much. I just thought it was so hilarious when I first was like stalking you and trying to like
what's up,
read your
dirt?
story and stuff. I know, I was like, that is so hilarious. All
But
right.
yeah.
Well, we're nearly actually at the end of this episode. We've
Sorry.
just flown through.
We have.
Tell me, where were you on the weekend? Because I saw that you were somewhere.
Where was I on the weekend? So I was at Huskisson Festival at our other business, helping Andrew with something.
Oh,
And then, because we also own a brewery, which I'm in right now. I'm
yes.
in the
Oh my
brewery
gosh.
currently in the
We're
story.
so getting you on for like multiple episodes. I have so many questions.
And then I was in Berry dropping off a candle to a good friend of mine that just bought a house. And then I slipped in a giant mud puddle, and it was actually pretty hilarious because I like saw my life flash before my eyes. I was like, what? And everyone had a really good laugh, especially me, because I was like, you just got to roll with it. But
Covered, were you literally covered in mud?
I was literally covered in mud from head to toe. And it was like, everyone was like, oh my
Dirt.
God, you okay? And I was like, I'm fine. But I was like, I guess I didn't see what just happened. I'd only experienced it. So like, I don't
Everyone
know.
else would have loved it. Like they would have loved watching that.
Seriously. It was pretty funny.
I'm such a sucker for watching stuff and just cracking up. Like I'm
Oh,
the worst person ever is someone like my mum is really like clumsy. That sounds awful, but like she's one of those people. If she falls, it's like an episode. Like just like she'll like it's like she's like the cartoons, and then she'll fall. All my entire life she's been like that. And so even I would laugh with my kids because they're like, oh, Nanny fell over. And I'd be like, when I was a kid, literally when I was a teenager, and I remember once I was going somewhere, she fell over, and I just put my head down and kept walking. I just left.
I don't know.
I was so embarrassed.
You know what? Honestly, I think my friends were like that yesterday because like they were like, are you okay? But they were cacking themselves at the same time. And I was just like, should I just go? Like,
and I'm actually hurt, but that's okay.
Yeah. I feel like I brought the vibe down. I have to leave.
Because if I'm honest, I look at sustainability sometimes And then I think of all the things we do in our house that are in no way sustainable or like so wasteful. And I'm sure for lots of other people, it can be a very overwhelming topic. Like, where do I even begin to make a difference in the world of sustainability? So one of the things I definitely wanted to ask, if you're up to anything in your own home that you could share with us, or what are some like hacks, tips, things that you think none of us realize or we don't know about, ways that we can be more sustainable? Like, where do you start, Holly?
Yeah. So like I think the first thing is like taking inspiration.
Yeah.
So I think it can be super overwhelming when you go on social media and you see all these people that have these beautiful sustainable homes and you feel like you have to go out and buy all these things and do all these things.
Yeah.
And you so don't, because you can actually just use things around the house to start doing little baby steps to become more sustainable.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So I've actually written you like 5 things that you can do like literally today. So like literally today, start right now. You don't have to really buy anything.
Love it.
So like the first one is like reusable bags, containers, and bottles. And
Yep.
so like I know that a lot of us really struggle when we go to like Woolies and Coles with the reusable bags, and we end up buying them and then we have like a whole boot of like bags.
Oh, that's me. I
Yeah.
forget it every time.
Yeah, 100%. And so honestly, what I do is I actually keep them all on my front seat with me. So I don't put them in my boot. I do keep them right on the front seat. When I'm about to get out of the car, I literally grab them
Reach
and I put my,
over.
yeah. And then when I've finished unpacking all my groceries, I literally leave it right at my front door. And then as I go out back to my car, I have to pick it up. Otherwise I will trip over it.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
So like something
Thumb
like
it,
that.
thumb it down.
Yeah. Like honestly, just like so easy. And then things like natural, eco-friendly cleaning. So like we stopped buying cleaning products quite a while ago. We literally just use vinegar and baking soda, and like we just make a paste and just
Yeah.
like just super easy things like that. Because I think a lot of people don't realize it. Like those are 2 really powerful cleaners, which will actually provide disinfecting properties.
Wow.
So if you just like hit the kettle, pour the kettle on something, you've sanitized it, hit it with the vinegar, and you've also disinfected it. So
Wow.
super easy.
What about like clothes washing?
Oh my gosh, I'm glad you asked. So like I wash everything on a cold wash
Yeah.
because obviously it's going to
Because
save you.
electricity is damn
Yeah.
expensive.
Totally.
Yeah.
It'll save you money on like electricity from heating. It'll save on your water bill. But I guess the hard thing is, especially if you do have children, you're always going to have these little crusty clothes.
Yeah. Definitely.
And so what I like to do is if I find something that I'm just like, oh my goodness, this is really crusty, I have a little bucket next to my washing machine, and same vinegar and baking soda. I will fill it with vinegar and baking soda. I just throw the crusty clothes in there, give them a little soak,
Yeah.
and then I'll just take everything out and shove it all in there. So it's
do
like,
do you add anything when you wash your clothes? Or do you have your own little like potion type?
I do actually. And if you want, I can share it with you.
Yeah, that would be
Um,
awesome.
So it's how to make, this is just off the top of my head, the recipe, because I have it written down, but
Yeah.
you can actually make your own like washing machine powder.
Wow.
So it's like salt, Epsom salts, and washing soda, and a little bit of baking soda. So if you mix all that together
Yeah.
in a big container,
It doesn't do
I'll
like
give you.
it doesn't do like a volcano experiment, does it? Because when you
No.
said like, or is that liquid?
No,
You like the
So, like-
volcano, you know, you used to do that at school.
and the vinegar. No.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
like,
that's what I was thinking.
no, so like I've trawled the entire internet to find like a good washing powder.
Yeah.
Because I want something that's like not going to like disrupt your endocrine system, and it's like healthy for you, good for your kids, you know, no synthetics or toxins or anything like that. And most things are like, oh yeah, grate some Castile soap and do all these like
I saw a
crazy
recipe
potions.
with that, and I was
It's
like,
too hard.
I'm not grating
No.
nothing.
No. It's too hard.
Great
But
cheese.
I like-
That's about it.
So true. But I like this recipe because, like, no joke, you could literally just get all this stuff from Woolies, throw it all in a container, mix it together, and then Done. I'll send you the recipe and then you can put it in your
that'd
description.
be cool. I'll add it into the little link in the bottom of this episode for those of you listening, and you can follow along. But make sure that if you didn't in the previous episode, make sure that you're following Dirt and Dunes on Instagram, or are you on Facebook? I'm hardly on Facebook these days.
We're not on Facebook. I'll be honest with you. We're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, and we're on Instagram. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. Well, make sure everyone that you follow, because Holly's always sharing like cool sustainable reels and tips and tricks and things like that. So yeah. So sorry, I got you off track.
No.
So I think you're on 2. You're on point 2.
I'm on point 2. Yeah. So like in regards to like, I think as well, like you noticed this the other day. So like when we like from segueing from candles into like sustainability, when we talk a lot about our products, we like to kind of put the environmental and economic benefits. Just because like, especially these days, it's such a huge thing, especially if you've got like a house full of kids, like, you know, you want to do your part to be green, but at the same time, like kids are expensive. And so like, you got to try and save money because we've got to pay for swimming lessons and soccer and all these other things. Yeah. And so like, these are a few things that my partner and I do in our house, and we do this to save money. So basically we buy in bulk. So we go to like Bombo Bulk and we'll buy like our food in bulk. So we'll buy like our flour and our lentils, our canned tomatoes. We'll buy like everything in bulk. Yeah. Which really actually does save us a lot of money. Another thing we do is we do like cloth alternatives. Cause like I remember when we were talking about like what's something that you would really like recommend to like mums out there, like a sustainable thing that you can do tomorrow. Oh my gosh, ditch the paper towels, just cloths. Like I like just get an old pair of pants that like you're never going to wear again, cut them up, make a bag of rags, and then just clean your oven and kitchen and your fridge. And then you just wash them. Yeah.
Love it.
And I love that. And then just like as well, air drying clothes, like you save so much money. I think it was like you can save up to 25% on your electricity bill if you just air dry clothes.
Totally. I would be the victim of that. I'm not doing that.
No, especially with all this horrible weather outside. It's honestly like nearly impossible to like air dry your clothes.
So awful, hasn't it? Oh,
yeah.
Man. But yeah,
I think
that would be so valid.
Yeah. And then as well, like fixing and mending. So like just like repairing things. So like repairing clothes and appliances and furniture instead of replacing them. So like our sink broke the other day and we were like, oh, do we buy a new sink? But like, no, let's just fix it. Let's just take the time and fix it. And we did. Now we have a working sink.
But are you guys like really good and like handy, I'm assuming, at doing things like that? Because myself and my husband are not good people at doing things like that.
I'll be totally honest with you.
We're not handy.
Like, we have our own strengths and weaknesses. So like I'm better at like budgeting and like, you know, like buying in bulk, and I'm better at like, you know, like I guess here's the thing. I'm so stubborn that if I'm like, I'm using these reusable cloths, I will use them to my detriment, even if it's really inconvenient. Like I'm just like, no, I've made a commitment. I'm doing this. Like, and so I think it's my stubbornness, which really helps me. So like Andy's not, he's as stubborn as I am, but like, you know, he's just like, oh, this is too hard. I'm not doing this. But I'm like, no, we're doing it. Yeah. And so like, I think Andy likes to
think. I give up. So it's just like the worst combo.
Do you know what? Look, I'll be honest with you. If you can't do it yourself, phone a friend because like honestly,
actually, we have really handy friends. Yeah. Some of our friends are amazing.
Yeah. Because I feel like you can always do that. You can do the skill interchange.
Yeah.
So for example, like I've got a friend who's really like helpful and she'll help me with things, but then like she'll have like admin that she has to do that she's like, so I'll do her admin for her and she'll do all these jobs for me.
That's so cute. Oh, that's like a cool village. Yeah.
So it's like fostering within your community and reusing each other's skills. Because look, 2 people, we can't do everything. And you know,
no, we're not we are amazing. Like,
but we're not superheroes. I get.
We're not. We're not superheroes. So what about the simple everyday routines? So like what about so for example, I'll use myself as an example. I get HelloFresh 3 days a week. Or like 3 meals a week, because it just, number one, means I don't have to think about it, because pet peeve. And number two is we have so many trainings left, right, and center. It actually, if I got any more than that, it actually is wasteful. Like, so I've just like limited it down. I get to the end of the week and I have all this meat that I'm like, I can't use 'cause it's actually off or whatever. Like, so 3 works for us. But like I was saying with you, there's aspects even of just that alone in our house. If I just look at the little thing of like when that gets dropped off, they have changed the bags from being plastic to paper, I've noticed, like the portions and things like that. But it comes with like a plastic ice brick or like 3 or something.
Yeah.
And even just looking at that one little thing, like sometimes when we used to have a rabbit, who we will not talk about because he's no longer with us. It's no longer with us. It was quite traumatic. And Mel had to bury him because Nath was at cricket. Anyway, it was awful. It was so awful. We used to keep the ice bricks for him, Oakley, because in summer we'd put it in his cage and it was like a cool little pool for him to hang out on.
Yeah.
Now I'm just throwing them out. Like I've kept, I think, 2 as like ice packs.
Yeah.
Injuries. But I'm like, every other week, I'm just literally throwing them out. Or I might bust it open and water a plant. Hopefully, toxic in it. Kill my plants. Yeah, come back. This plant might not be here next week in the back.
Yeah, I'd actually be very keen to see if that plant's still there. But
is there any other like uses or things like that? Like a way that you can figure out what do I do with something like this instead of chucking it out?
Yeah, honestly. So segueing from the candles again into something that can help you. So 100% of our profits, so Andy and I don't take a cut of any of the profits that we make from the candles. 100% of the profits go into our non-for-profit, which is called Permaculture Out of Poverty. And basically what it is a urban garden system. And so basically we're trying to set up little gardens around the Shoalhaven where people can basically learn skills and grab food if they need it. Yeah. And so we have a TikTok and we are only present on TikTok and YouTube. And so if you want to learn tips of where to put and what to do with these ice bricks, I would say come follow us at Permaculture Out of Poverty. Yeah. But like personally, what I would do is I would see if I could like upcycle it into some sort of toy for the kids. If I wasn't upcycling it into some sort of toy, I would honestly probably collect them and I would probably sell them on Marketplace because somebody out there is going to want an ice brick at a fraction of the cost. And if you're getting them for free, you might as well be like, ice bricks for $2, come pick them up.
Wow, that's a good idea.
Or like take them to a school because like, kids bump their heads.
Oh, that's such a good idea. What about that?
Yeah. So like I don't post as much on there as I used to, but like we have everything from like energy to food to sustainability tips on there because we were making compost bins and planting flowers and not really anyone was really into that. So we started putting the sustainability tips on top of that.
That's
so yeah. And like we were talking about before, we've written a sustainability course for children and parents. So it's like something you can do on the holidays with your kids. So if you're strapped for like, oh my God, what do I do? Like you can watch it and find a bunch of like fun activities and like just upcycle trash to make like great things for a garden while teaching your kid a really practical skill. I know that's a bit weird and segue, but
well, I actually just recently like going into the gardening with kids. I think that is such a big thing.
Yeah.
Like I know that even like my kids' primary school, they are really big on like the garden club. And it's so cute because like, they grow stuff. And then like my kids will be like, Mom, can you give me money? Because they're coming around today with all the veggies from the garden club.
Oh, it's so cute.
And
I love that.
I think I've paid like a lot of money for a lettuce, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like more than you probably would usually. But I'm like, you know what? It's so great because it goes back into like the next round of seeds and things like that.
Yeah.
It's just teaching the kids things like that. So even with Willow, we actually started a fairy garden.
I love that.
And I was like, well, it was awful weather, like at the time. And so I just actually went and bought like a little round pot and we just filled it. We just put like the grass seeds and so the grass is growing and she's got a little house and things like that. So that was a really cool thing and she loves it. So I've had to actually put it on our, hello. I've had to put it on our balcony so that we can play with it in all weather situations. So
Sorry, he
cute.
just
No, oh, cute little interruption. Oh, so cute. But yes, oh, that's so cool. And what was I want you to share about the little project that you're doing for your little man that you're telling me about that you're
yes.
you're
So
looking
we got rid of our shoe rack because we needed a new one.
Yeah.
And we basically, so obviously because we like to kind of be as sustainable as possible, we bought storage boxes that we could sit on in the garden and basically use as a bench, but then also keep all our stuff underneath it, just because like the rain and the horrible weather and our shoes were constantly getting wet. So now we have this shoe rack, and it's just like, well, we want to make our son a mud kitchen, but I don't want to pay like $700 to like $1,000 for a mud kitchen that's just going to get covered in mud. So so just like started collecting our recyclable trash and, you know, like making like knobs on it and like a little bucket and everything like that. And it's just something like cheap and easy that him and his cousin can play with and everything, because he's got his own little garden and all his own little herbs and everything. But like he's getting to the stage where he's getting more like tactile and stuff. So like so I've made one for the house, but I also want to make one for our community garden project. So when people bring their kids like, so we just put a fish in today. So that's what my son was doing. So
cool.
yeah, we've got a little pond now. And so there's like little koi fish in there. And so like when kids come to the garden with their parents, because you can sit in the garden because it's like a nice place to just be. And then if you want to take some herbs and some plants, you can do that. But now there's like a nice little safe space for like a kid to kind of like be outside, which is nice because like kids need outside time and everything.
Still have something to do if they need it.
Yeah.
So with like your community garden, do you have to like pay to like be a member, or like how do you kind of navigate that?
So basically, because we're a non-for-profit, we're still waiting for our non-for-profit certification to come in, just because obviously there's a lot of things you need to do to sign a profit.
Yeah.
So we are lucky that we already have a brick and mortar business, which I'm sitting in right now.
Yeah.
And so our garden is located in South Narra. And so basically we just have it outside of our business, and then people can drive up and just, they can come sit in it for lunch if they want to, because we've got chairs and tables outside, or like they can come and engage with it. Like honestly, like I have like herbs and everything, and every so often I'll just like make up a bunch of like little herb pots and I'll just be like, free, like I don't need it, like does someone else
and
need it? Because like
you'll like kill the plant if you don't trim it. Yeah.
And I guess the thing is as well, like other ways to like save money is like composting, like growing your own fruits and veggies, but it's really time consuming for people. So like even having like a simple basil plant would save you like buying basil like $6 at the shop.
I cannot keep basil alive. No.
Yeah.
Basil.
I'll give you some basil. You can keep my basil alive.
One of my friends when we moved into this house was like, I'm buying you a basil plant. And I was like, no, don't give it to me. I'll kill it. And she's like, you can't kill it. I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure I will. I'm pretty confident.
I'll you know what? I will give you a system to like.
I think I over love it. I think I like love on it too much. Like I think I over nurture my basil.
You can't over love something theoretically, but maybe the basil.
Put it in the sun, it shrivels. I don't put it in the sun and it shrivels. Like I just can't. I can't.
You know what?
I'm fine with everything else. Rosemary loves me. Like
Rosemary's amazingly hardy. When we meet up, I'm going to give you some plants.
Yes, definitely. I'm all for the garden. Actually, I was laughing. One of the previous guests that we had on Willow, when I interviewed her, her whole background was like in her office was just plants. And I was so like, I'm just sitting here just envious of all those plants.
I love that. And I'm just in an industrial unit right now.
Yeah, I know. It's just, no, you've got a little bit of greenery.
Rugby jersey, giant fridge, lab out the back.
Oh, I love it. Oh, Holly, you're amazing as usual. Thank you for all the practical tips. There is so many things. I reckon I'm going to have to go back and listen to this episode because I'm going to have to write down a couple of those to actually do. But yes. Oh, thanks, Holly.
That's all right. Thank you.
You're the cutest. Bye.